What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, your Green Bay Packers podcast that is a proud partner of the Eurostep Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. It is a victory Monday, folks. Packers beat the St. Louis. Wow, that is a that is old. The Arizona Cardinals. I don't know where I pulled that from.
It's the Cardinals, man. They get you.
They get me, man. I'm glad to be out of Cardinals week. 34-13 in an absolutely dominant win over the short king Kyler Murray and his little friends. To join me to talk about this,
Little friend.
to talk about this wonderful, wonderful win, is my lovely co-host Jordan Tresky. Jordan, how are you doing, buddy?
Hello. I'm wearing a hockey jersey, but we're talking about football. Um,
I've got my
I'm
Jane
just
Reed
very.
jersey on as always.
I know I should have put my love jersey on, but I'm very cold, so I need something
You
to.
got to have the sweater on,
I don't think I have a. Oh, I do have one. I do
brother,
have one.
brother. Hockey jerseys are called sweaters.
I know, but I like Weezer. Um, the sweater song.
Sure, you lost me.
Anyway, Packers won 34-13. Any um anxiety I had towards this game quickly dissipated upon watching it, well after everybody else probably enjoyed it. Um, but yeah, this was this is the kind of win that we have wanted from the start of the season, and took 6 weeks, but God bless it, we got there. That's where
We did
I'm
get there.
sitting pretty.
We did get there. Like I said, it took 6 weeks for us to have this dominant win we thought we'd have a few times coming into the season, but we got there. The offense looked fantastic. Like I said, 34-13. It just was
I
a
should
wire to wire win
I,
today.
sh- I should rephrase because obviously being without Jordan Love for 2 weeks, the Tennessee game was probably the closest thing to it, and
Yeah,
in terms of like easy victories. But there was still some moments of doubt of like, oh, Tennessee can get back into it, much
yeah,
like Arizona tried to attempt to do today. But the Packers were having none of it, and that's
no,
what was really nice.
no, yeah, really nice. So I think we'll start off with Jordan Love, as I think he deserves it. 22 of 32, 258 yards, 4 touchdowns, and an interception that was not his fault. Um, First Packers quarterback since Brett Favre to have two back-to-back 4 touchdown games. I believe at home. It might have been the qualifier there. Like I said, since Brett Favre, and I think the first quarterback to do it this season, or maybe since Joe Burrow did it in 21. I forget what the or no, sorry, that's two separate stats. First quarterback to have back-to-back 4 touchdown games this season. First quarterback to have a streak of, I believe, 6 or 8 games with multiple touchdown passes since
Yes,
Joe Burrow did it in 21.
yeah.
So Jordan Love playing pretty darn good football, even despite coming off his MCL strain he had obviously a couple weeks ago. Like really good game today. Like the the decision making still needs to be refined a little bit. I think they said post game that Jordan Love said that he thinks it'd probably be a zero on the the absolute prayer he threw to Romeo Doubs for his second touchdown.
Not even just that. I mean, the one where let me go to my notes
The
here.
Christian Watson one
That
over the middle, where he threw
yeah,
the
like
quad coverage over Chris Barnes.
amazing, literally amazing ball.
Yeah,
Like the things
yeah,
that really stood out to me watching this game is Jordan Love. Make what you will of this Cardinals defense because it was BAD
yeah.
with a capital BAD.
It was really not good
But
today. They
Jordan
were
Love,
really injured today. To their credit, they
yes,
went down with a
yes.
few different guys. Like Buda Baker was like here and there. I think he walked out.
Kazir White, I believe they're like one of their few productive linebackers
Yep.
got hurt midway through the game too. But Jordan Love was playing like I don't know what reference I'm trying to think of, but everything was just like boom, boom, like just it was like target practice out there. And part of it, like I know he had a quote mid coming off of last week of off the Jaden Reed, just like grip it and rip it throw
Right.
down the field, like 65 yards or whatever. And Tom Clements said something about like he would say, Jordan, we graded Jordan poorly for that and blah blah blah. And then
Yeah.
Jordan Love comes back and says he plays nice and says, "Yeah, I'll probably tone down that decision making." I saw that quote and I said, "Bullshit," because you're gonna keep doing what you're gonna do because you're that good. That's the other thing is that for as frustrating or kind of we're waiting for him to kind of pry open the door of what he looks like and what we saw at the end of last season, add in the injury just kind of affecting timing, precision, all that stuff. It's like I don't I want him to be bold with his choices, even if it's failing. I'd rather see it than have him not play or play scared or not play
Right.
it with as much confidence because if Jordan Love is rolling with confidence, it looks like that.
Yeah.
It looks like he can just throw this jump ball that looks like it's not it's a prayer, and of course Romeo Doubs received that prayer
Yeah. You're
in
also
more ways
selling
than one.
selling the throw short. He was getting barreled down on, and he was leaning back, jumped off his back foot, and was like falling away throwing it. Like it was the I don't know how he got it there, dude.
I don't know either, but and it was not like too dissimilar to the Harrison Smith blitz 2 weeks ago.
No, I think that was honestly like that's
You
a
think that was
great point.
better?
It's no, that's a great point. It's the same
Oh,
exact situation, except instead
yeah,
of Tavian Wicks being out there not looking for the ball, it was Romeo Doubs looking for the ball.
yeah,
And that's not a credit to Wicks. That's
but
just like a that's just it was like just a situation.
yeah, contextually,
Yeah,
I just think the overall point of his day was yeah, he's gonna be bold with his choices. He's gonna like I the Dobbs touchdown is obviously what everybody's gonna be talking about, but
hmm
we should not overlook that Watson. It was on a 4th and 2. Um, early. It's Packers already out. I think there was maybe like it was a 10-0 game at that point,
yeah,
and it's like okay, this is the drive that can really separate them from and get into cruise control. And they're already in there scoring. I think like knocking on the door of like a in field goal range. But you're if you're that close and your offense has been doing that well,
hmm
you're going to go for it. And that throw in the middle of the field, it's not a deep throw at all. Like it's enough to get through to get the first down.
yeah.
Hitting Christian Watson on a crossing pattern is not normally his bread and butter.
This
So,
was 14-0. It was in the
oh, 14-0.
yeah, it was in it was in the second quarter. 4th and 1. They needed it was the pass, I believe.
Yeah. And you just see this swarm of like the Romeo Doubs touchdown. That was a one-on-one.
Yeah.
This is 3 to 4 defenders within that zone and window that if they get a good beat, a better beat on what they actually had on it, could easily pick that off or bat it away or whatever. But Jordan Love rolls the dice, and I'd rather have him roll the dice when it keeps coming up snake eyes. Is that good?
No, that's
Snake.
well, I guess it craps. It's not bad.
Well, we're playing craps,
It's all
and
contextual.
exactly. So when it's he was rolling the dice today, and everything was coming up gravy.
I just love that we're getting into crap stock here on Talking Tundra.
You're
Um,
welcome.
no, I mean I totally agree. I was watching the game with my wife and I was laughing that Chris Barnes got like 6 inches off the ground on that jump when he
Yeah,
tried to bat it away from that Christian Watson pass. But like, it was such a perfectly placed pass. Any higher, I don't know if Christian Watson gets it. Any lower, it's probably tipped or picked off. And like you said, great throw. And I'm with you in that I want Jordan Love to sort of like play free in himself because I think that's when you get like where he's at his best, sort of taking those risks. And we've already seen he has the ability to make the throws in those tight windows. Like there's the throw
yeah,
against Dallas last year. There was plenty of throws in the run, like the second half of the season last year, that were really pretty like that. I think this is another example of that. And so, as long as he's being careful with it and not making like too many dumb decisions in a row, like it's fine to take a risk on a throw and it gets picked off or tipped and um intercepted like that. But then you need to like bring it in, right? You can't be throwing those tight
yeah.
window passes in tight games like that. If it's already gone wrong, you can't have multiple turnovers on situations like that. But we haven't really seen that this year. Like I think the Rams interception last week, obviously was a bad one, and then the one of the Vikings ones maybe was a bad interception. But like other than that, he's been
One of
pretty.
three.
Yeah, I think he's been pretty like safe with the ball and not putting it in harm's way for the most part, and that's good. And him continuing to grow confidence and play like this is obviously a huge boon for the Packers.
Yeah, this is it. If any, you know, it'll change maybe next as soon as next week with Houston coming to town. But
Yeah,
if anything that we kind of looked forward to this game is that, well, this is not a great defensive team, and it got worse over the course of the game itself. Maybe it was just good for Jordan Love to see a team that was not that great, and you can kind of clean up on what you had, what was ailing you
yep,
before.
totally agree.
I think I
Sort
think
sort of
that
a
to
get
me,
right game.
a get right game for sure. I think that was, the biggest thing is that even the Minnesota game, you look at the stats, like, well, he had 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions or whatever it was.
Yep.
It's like, well, obviously it's a very different game, but we know what he's capable of rattling off. Even last week against the Rams, like it was still like a good game, but the bar is changing.
Mm-hmm.
So when he looks more like what it is today, where he's under like a lot more in command, the plays that he's making on the move too, like he was scrambling a lot.
Yeah.
Um, and he just looks more compared to last year. Like this is again, analyzing scrambled runs is probably a fool's errand, but it just looks more coordinated. He doesn't look as panicked or predetermined. I think that's probably the biggest word because like I can't remember what game it was, but I just remember him scrambling out wide and he was getting the first down, but then he fumbles it. It was late in the season or something like that. And I know they won that game, but it was just like, yes, 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 no, what are you doing? And then like the other team recovers the kind of thing. He just looks more. It's not this like this is what the play design calls. This is where the attention should be going. And if it goes that way, I'm going to do this. Everything just feels more, you know, at least on the looks of watching it, it looks and feels like it is a marriage of this is the play design and this is what Jordan Love is getting more comfortable at doing. Like, you know what I mean? And I think it was interesting too, like to look more critically at the game, is that, you know, Packers lead 24 nothing as late as like 4:52 mark or 4:32 mark in the second quarter. Second half, part of the reason why the offense wasn't humming as much, where there was, Josh Jacobs or the run game was doing well, but not as well as it was before. But Arizona's sending guys, they're blitzing like mad. Obviously we see it on the Dobbs touchdown,
Mm-hmm.
but Jordan Love is seeing a lot of guys
Saw a lot of pressure
and
today.
saw a lot of pressure. Thankfully, no sacks,
No, he
nothing.
he
I thought
commented as much on post game too, giving credit to the offensive line.
offensive line did a really good job in pass protection before and after that.
Yep.
But I thought like if you want a compliment to like how good of a quarterback you are, is that the defense adjusts their strategy as the game goes along and does engage eight repeatedly, to borrow a Madden term. And I mean, some of those throws or decision making probably wasn't great, but when you have guys barreling down at you for multiple plays and you have to adjust to that, I thought he adjusted to it well enough. Obviously, the touchdown is kind of this outlier, but and just more of a feat of of talent and right time, right place. But I just thought even after that point, they were still doing enough to not. It wasn't. It didn't feel like last week against the Rams where the defense has to come up with the play to make sure that the game ends. It just felt more like the offense rolled with the punches and was still doing enough to kind of keep things afloat, keep things on track, and make sure this game didn't, become competitive like it hadn't been at all today.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Um, I was just impressed with Jordan, dude. Just impressed with Jordan Love today. So, let's talk about the wide receivers because that's obviously who he was throwing to. And I think first and foremost, we have to talk about Romeo Doubs coming off of the suspension week and all the off the field stuff that he was dealing with and really didn't want to talk about throughout the week, and then even didn't want to talk about today. Huge bounce back performance from him. Uh, has 3 catches for 49 yards and 2 touchdowns. Obviously, both touchdowns were immaculate. Like they were awesome. His first one comes back on the route, catches it, is losing his balance, and then dives into the end zone for a touchdown and was like a really great display of footwork. Like he looked more elegant and had a lot of finesse that I don't think we've ever like really seen from Romeo Doubs on his feet. He's always good at
Mm.
catching the balls in the air and going and getting them, but that was some of the more fancy footwork we've ever seen from him. And then he follows that up with the ball coming back to him on the touchdown we talked about earlier, where that was some immaculate footwork as well, where he had to contort his body back inside the pylon to get the touchdown as he's like turning and catching the ball. Like just an awesome display from Romeo Doubs today. Pretty quiet after the game. He really didn't want to talk about everything that happened last week, and then also touched on just that how thankful he was for all of his teammates being around him and that they're getting back to it. So that was encouraging to hear as well. But yeah, Romeo Doubs today absolutely showed out.
Yeah, cathartic for a lot
Great
of
word,
reasons. I
great word to
believe
describe it,
I believe they mentioned on the broadcast featuring Daryl Moose
dude,
Johnston.
dude. They there was a point where it was the Jaden Reed um, fumble on the punt return. So I know you watched the condensed game. So before Keyshawn Nixon's punt
Oh,
return,
yes, they had
they
to repunt it,
they had
right?
to repunt it because there was
Yes.
offsetting penalties, a horse collar tackle, and the holding or something. But the horse collar obviously helped the Packers because Reed fumbled it and that Carlos had a short field then. And they show it, and Daryl Johnson's like, I don't know. He's like, I know we had a lot of bad tackles that caused a lot of injuries when I played because of that tackle. And he's like, I think that's sticky tack. And they showed the replay, and the guy's hand is in Jaden Reed's horse collar, like behind his pad. And it's like,
There's one.
what are you looking at, dude? Like it was clearly the most like textbook horse collar tackle that you could ever call, and he's bitching and moaning about it.
There's one thing I know about Daryl Johnson that he's wrong at every turn. The guy, not to like just derail into this weird segment that is gonna recur in game post game recaps, but my wife just goes, "Is he from Canada? Like, why is he saying everything like "oh" or like "a"? Like everything without it's like, and he would just say like just hang on these words that you're just like, what? Like, is Daryl Johnston having a Frankie Valley moment? Is that what's happening right now?
Just maybe, just maybe, man.
Just
Folks, if
just
you haven't
Sherry
seen Frankie
baby.
Valley sing in Vegas lately, go search your TikTok algorithms for that. It's a joy. Uh,
This is a joy.
but yeah,
What was my point? What was my point? Oh,
Romeo.
they mentioned something that he had not played the opening drive.
Hmm.
Um, so I was like, oh, I don't know if this is right. Yeah, I mean, like snap counts won't come out
Right.
until Monday morning, so we'll dissect and parse through that. But obviously, that didn't hold for long, and whatever disciplinary thing that you want to look into that, you know, that was not the story of the day. It was that Romeo Doubs was looked at, shined out. He had some great reds. I think he was looked at another time in the red zone too before his. Maybe I'm
I think
bunching
so.
them together.
He had 4 targets, so he might have.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it just felt like this is gonna be. I'm gonna be. very annoying right now.
Okay.
But
All right.
if this is a year where the Packers go to the Super Bowl and win it,
Okay.
the Romeo Doubs thing is going to feel like a bigger story than what it actually feels like right now.
Yeah.
It just feels like a misunderstanding that in today's social media age with he follows the Packers, yada yada yada, like all these like different things that changes how we view player management coach relationships outside of our purview, and we only see these people for 3 hours of the week if you're really being honest.
Right.
um it just feels like a bigger it is notable, but it's not as big of a deal as it has been or could be.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know.
We don't know anything, and I feel like the tenor of how things will be portrayed, not to just do this tirade, but like how it will be written about from this point on in the media will make it sound like it's this stark demarcation point where we don't know what it is. We don't know. We truly don't know what was said between both of them.
Right.
I'm derailing this. This is just, I'm done. I'm just ending my point. There's just a lot there. But anyway, it was nice to see him do well
Yeah.
after all of the what's said about someone that we truly don't know much about.
Yeah. Totally get that. Totally get that. Um, let's talk about the other wide receivers to go through this game. Uh, Christian Watson, 3 catches for 68 yards on four targets and a touchdown. Ben Sims, 2 catches for 38 yards. He had a really good day. Jaden Reed, 6 catches for 28 yards and a touchdown. And a couple catches by Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson, Tucker Craft. Wicks only had 1 catch for 9 yards. He leaves with a shoulder injury. Um, Ryan Wood tweeted out after the game. Dontavian Wicks told me his shoulder is only sprained. Happened at the end of the 9-yard catch on third down in the first half. Didn't return, but expects injury will not be long term. Quote, just pain, couldn't really move it. End quote. Asked him about next week. He said, I'm day to day going to be fine. So that's good to hear that way. Christian Watson, applaud that man for sure. That was an
Yes.
awesome touchdown. Like I think that really showed just like what he brings this offense. And we've gone 22 minutes now, and we need to give credit to Matt LaFleur because the game plan he called today was awesome. Like frankly awesome. Going through the drives this game. Start off with 5 plays and a punt. Obviously not a great start. But then they follow that with touchdown, touchdown, field goal, touchdown, the fluke interception by Jordan Love, and then touchdown, a missed field goal, and then 10 plays to end the game over 5.5 minutes. Like they were
Yeah.
moving the ball today. And
Yes.
besides the missed field goal off of the fumble in the second half, they had scoring drives of 5 plays. That's the first touchdown. 11, 12, 1 play, which was the Christian Watson touchdown. Um, and then 9, 4, 12, and 10. Like they were sustaining drives today. And then if they were having a short field and getting scoring opportunities out of it anyways. But um, the first play that they have from Christian Watson after the
Oh, that
punt, um, after the punt and the long return in the second quarter, uh, just awesome play design. Awesome,
good.
awesome play design.
Good God.
Because I know we are talking about it in the Discord, which you can find at gspn.substack.com in the About section, and you can subscribe there for only $8 if you really want to. Um, but there people were asking like, how is Christian Watson getting that open? And they showed it on the replay, and it was because um, the way the play was designed, and we'll talk about that in just a second, is that Christian Watson and Tucker Craft were lined up like right next to each other, and they both essentially ran the same route. Tucker Craft was sort of in the middle of the field, ran a post route towards the sideline. Christian Watson was outside the numbers, ran a post route to the middle of the field. Well, when Kraft broke to the sideline, the deep safety broke it on Kraft, which then
Mm,
opened up the deep part of the field, and he just ran past Buda Baker for the
yeah.
touchdown. It was awesome. And Christian Watson said this post. This is again from Ryan Wood. Uh, Christian Watson said his 44-yard touchdown wasn't in the Packers' game plan. From sideline, they saw how the Cardinals weren't following Watson deep, and Matt LaFleur dialed up the play. As soon as we called it, Watson said, "I don't want to be cocky or anything, but I knew it was a touchdown." And I believe Jordan Love said post game that like LaFleur like drew it on the sideline, like was like, "Hey, we're gonna go do this," and then just did that, and it was an easy touchdown. Like an awesome, awesome play. Goes up for the Lambeau leap, so mark that down on the marker, Jordan, for one Lambeau leap today. And it's just that I think we need to really focus in on what this offense looks like now when it's healthy, even though Wicks is out. But for the most part, all the guys healthy, right? Three catches from Christian Watson, 68 yards. Three catches from Romeo Doubs, 49 yards. Six from Jaden Reed, 28 yards and a touchdown. Three to Josh Jacobs for 28 yards. Two to Tucker Kraft for 13 yards. One to Wicks, and then one to Bo Melton as well. And then Emmanuel Wilson had a 19-yard catch as well. Like that is spreading the ball around, and
Mm.
they weren't even like balanced heavy into the passing game. They had 38 rushes this game. They had compared to 32 passes. They ran the ball more than they passed the ball. Given, let's see, I think three Jordan Love kneel downs and a Tucker Kraft
Yeah.
sneak. Right, three Jordan Love kneel
Direct
downs.
snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take out four of those, and you're at 34 rushes to 32 passes. Like that's a
Yes.
balanced
It was essentially
offensive tack today.
50-50.
It was really good.
Yeah, that was we knew what this offense was capable of going into the preseason, going into I mean, really just coming off of last year. It's just another year of experience that they didn't really make outside of Josh Jacobs. The wide receiver core was pretty much intact. Tight end room pretty much intact. Um, it just works so well with one another, and whether it's the all for one for all wide receiver committee or whatever you want to call it, but it doesn't like they know when to. There is a rhythm to how they call games now. That when they didn't have this in the first half of last year, raised a lot of questions of it raises questions about the development of this team and the development of the players themselves or whatever. But now that things just kind of clicked pretty quickly, and even with guys out like Wicks left this game, obviously the stuff with Dobbs, Christian Watson, on and off the field, literally just when he's on the field, he's great. When he's off the field, you know, it's
When he's off the field, his dad's arguing with a Twitter doctor.
rightfully so because Jesus, yeah.
Stupid.
Um,
We're too
but
online, folks. But God,
yeah,
that was
two
dumb.
online. This is I never
Yeah,
mind. I
we
was
don't need
gonna
to get into it. I was just making a joke.
a lot of Dr. Daryl Johnsons out there.
That's right. Anyway,
I one last side note.
no.
Daryl Johnson goes, there's a lot of something like it was like turn I don't know. It was something like ready and turn or whatever. This is going to take too long to explain. It's like, well, you're the analyst, so you have to explain the turn that you're going to say, whatever.
That's
Um,
very funny because you literally just did what Daryl Johnson did
I
about the
know, I know. It's
how
very
the
meta.
turntables.
Um, but what was I saying? Anyway, the rhythm with how they call plays, whether it's strictly Matt LaFleur or it's obviously Adam Stenavich is not the offense coordinator for nothing. Um, but it just works on so many levels, which is why it was very frustrating, especially coming off of that Rams game where we knew the potential of this offense is literally the top of the league. It's elite. So stop squandering chances. Stop having, you know, it wasn't to the degree of what the Cardinals did penalty wise, because good God, we'll get into those in a bit.
Yeah,
Uh,
that wasn't good.
no, but Packers just have it's the NFL, but the Packers had a chance or have shown the ability to shoot themselves in the foot, whether it's getting out of field goal range or much worse of just compounding mistakes. So today, outside of the Love pick, which it's no one's fault, Bo Melton slips and falls where it's super muddy. It was raining pretty much like
Yeah.
three-fourths of the game outside of like pockets full of sunshine.
Okay, Natasha.
Um,
Just chill out, Natasha.
but I just that's see the offense humming the way it was today was just like, yeah, that's what we wanted. That
Mm-hmm.
is what I've been wanting
Mm-hmm.
all season long. And it's nice to see different flavors or different ways that they can, you know, like the Colts game with just how run heavy that game plan was and
Right.
just to get out of that game with a win. But when you are fully healthy or close to fully healthy and you just run over the Cardinals like they did today, like that just looks more like, okay, that is what this team is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is a good point to mention that at least for penalty wise, the Packers had some mistakes and had some, I guess, albeit failures on offense today that were bailed out by penalties, which is fine. Like that happens. But I think the rest of the offense was pretty good despite that. Like you can't
Yeah.
be like, oh well, if it wasn't for these five penalties, they wouldn't have won this game. I don't think that's true whatsoever. But
Yeah.
it definitely helped, right? Like maybe this game is 24-13 and not 34 because they got to extend some drives throughout the game because of those defensive penalties on the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure there's nothing else we missed on the offense, but I don't think so. So let's get into that Packers defense. That was actually no. Do you want to talk about Josh Jacobs at all? Um,
Yes, I do.
yeah, go for it.
Um, I thought, I mean, 90 yards of total offense, 18 carries, 62 yards, so 3.4 yards per carry. I want to say if I look through his games, that might be the lowest of in a game this year, which
Maybe not by much. I don't think he's been kind of been
not by
he's
much.
been kind of hovering around there. No,
It
he had 9 for
3.1 in the
51.
Titans game.
Yeah. Oh, for yards per carry.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.1 on 14 carries for 43 yards against the Titans.
Usually I'm a stats guy, I like my numbers. But even watching the game, it just felt like it didn't feel like he's running against a wall. There were times where, especially in the second half, where running lanes weren't as clean as it was in the first half. But really, like the tone was started with Josh Jacobs getting downfield, getting through holes, getting first downs. Like this running, as you mentioned before, 38 carries, 179 total yards from the on the ground. It was started by Josh Jacobs, and it was him just getting through the middle of the Cardinals defense and making plays. Like even it wasn't just getting on the ground, it was the great I think he was set out wide for the passing play that he got.
Yep,
And he just
he
hits daylight
was.
downfield.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks great. Like I know this comparison game of like what he looks like versus Aaron Jones and how things are productive, but stylistically they're very different. And you don't know how to like talk about it until you see it in action.
Mm-hmm.
But there is something there. And even as I try to search for the words of just like whether it's just like kind of that on a game, like especially with the elements of it's rainy, it's sloppy. You're not sure what you can, test with the elements throwing the ball, especially down deep. And that was obviously not a problem by the end of the day. But the way that Josh Jacobs like sets the tone for this offense, it's like kind of similar to how we were talking about James Conner, or maybe I was, but James Conner going into the game of like, this is what the Cardinals offense could be with all these weapons that they have. But James Conner comes in and he's like a bowling ball that just runs through. And Josh Jacobs has this same
He
kind of
also
like
gets hurt today.
James Conner did.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, I didn't realize that actually.
yeah, he was hobbled.
Um,
They were running Trey Benson and Amari DiMercado
that
a
would
lot towards the end.
yes. Um, I just thought Josh Jacobs, he just has this kind of way to establish the run and kind of the overall pass or run pass play dynamic of this is a really well balanced offense. As much as we salivate over the passing options that Jordan Love has and just where he is in his own development, Josh Jacobs is this kind of bellwether of how you can keep all of these elements working with one another rather than it starts to slip and Jordan Love has to be this guy that is thrust into making things work by just his sheer brilliance. I think that's where the knock-on effect of Josh Jacobs really helps the Packers in establishing the offense as a whole.
Yeah, totally agree, totally agree. And then to further your point about how it looked better than what the stats say, especially the average, he had 3 carries today in the second half that went for negative a yard. And I think like those weren't entirely his fault. Like I think the Cardinals were just ready for a run at that point. So if you take away his 3 carries that went for negative 3 yards total, he'd have 15 carries for 65 yards, which is 4.3 yards per carry. Way better than the 3.4. He gets a full yard back just on those 3 negative plays that he had today.
Just get him out.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so looked a lot better. Like even then, like 15 on 65 is pretty good. Not I should it's good, not pretty good. But yeah, I liked his game today. I wasn't really like searching for a reason not to like it. I think it just looked good, especially with the 3 carries or 3 catches for 28 yards that he had today as well. Just a nice all around game for Josh Jacobs. And I mean, still shut out Emmanuel Wilson, man. That guy runs with purpose, and he was one arm tackle away from busting a
Uh,
touchdown. I was about to jump off my couch. I was very very excited on that run in like the third, fourth quarter.
I think today really crystallized just how
Much they needed a backup running back that wasn't AJ Dillon. Yes. Not to
I
like
didn't I
re
didn't say it
not
just
to
like Frankie Valley, but um I found my joke on the pod, but
there you go.
yeah, I just think he having that 1-2 punch of just some guy like it's not preseason Emmanuel Wilson last year or obviously this year. There's just like he finds the hole and is running through it, and it is truly exciting of what he could be because I think he is not just a hidden jet. He's clearly not a hidden jet anymore. The
No.
more opportunities he gets,
No.
so yeah, continue.
It's it's just he runs with purpose, dude. And
Yeah,
it's a crowded backfield now with Marshawn Lloyd still being in the mix once he comes off of IR if he comes off
shout
this
out
year.
Chris Brooks
And Chris Brooks had a good day today too. Like
and
he
Bo Melton.
and Bull Melton had a good game with the jet sweep game that he's obviously being worked into. But like Chris Brooks, 4 carries for 21 yards. He had a 11-yard carry. Like he was finding holes, and Emmanuel Wilson has been doing good. Like I really don't know what they're gonna do when they get Marshawn Lloyd back, and it makes me a little sad because like I think Emmanuel Wilson is doing everything he can to secure that running back 2 spot, and I don't. And you guys know I'm a big fan, obviously. I don't want to mess with something that isn't broken, kind of thing. But I mean, if you look at Emmanuel Wilson's numbers over the course of this season, he's got games of uh, 46, 50, and 54 yards on the ground. Like that's pretty good for a backup running back. His
Yeah,
other 3 are 24, 27, and 9 against the Colts. But that was the game that Josh Jacobs went bonkers. And so like I don't know, man. It's just he's looking really good, and I don't know what if or when Marshawn Lloyd comes back this season, but it's hard.
honestly, in terms of in the 2020, if we're talking about the 2024 Packers, Marshawn Lloyd is kind of
An afterthought. Yeah, at the
Yeah,
moment.
and that's not a. And I think I personally don't think it is a good decision to bring him back after he's really struggled to be fully healthy,
Yeah.
dating back from OTAs.
Yep.
If we're talking about just have this be a redshirt year, get your body right. It's very hard to make that jump, especially when you're carrying a bunch of lower leg injuries.
Right.
And to the overall point is that they have they have a ground game that could really translate well to as temperatures drop, we get deeper into the season, playoffs start to roll around, the frozen tundra, freezes back up again. Just having both Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson out there, the running styles that you can turn to over the different drives, it's good. It can mirror what they try to have with their wide receiver core of
Right.
this is this kind of drive that we're trying to go for or whatever. I think that is it's a day like today that really kind of brightens what that could look like when we're talking, get to that point of the season.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I guess let's. Anything else with running backs? I think they did it very well today. I was very happy about it.
Did very well.
Okay.
Thank you, running backs.
Thank you. Um. Alrighty. Let's talk about the defense because they definitely deserve their flowers today. Hold the high powered at times Cardinals offense to 13 points. Um, I guess where do you want to start, Jordan? Because I think it might be privy to just to talk about Evan Williams. He's kind of making a name for himself. He starts at safety next to Xavier McKinney.
I believe this is the fewest that the Cardinals tie for the fewest that the Cardinals have scored this year. By the way,
Yeah,
um,
which isn't entirely Packers related. They lose Marvin Harrison Jr. in like the first quarter or second quarter for due to
oh,
concussion.
also did not know that either. That
Yeah,
makes way more sense
yeah,
why Michael Wilson was,
yeah. Marvin
or
Harrison Jr.
yeah,
goes down on a weird, not a weird, but like gets tackled, then head goes into the ground kind of thing. Not like
mm,
bounce, but sort of direct kind of thing. So
yeah.
yeah, he leaves and tried to get up, wobbles, and then goes down and is out with the concussion. But yeah, Evan Williams today flying around, dude. Punches the ball in a great Peanut Tillman forced fumble on Greg Dortch, who tried to get a couple extra yards and didn't. That was a huge play in the game. Like he was just flying
The
around today.
the run pass option on Kyler Murray on a
Yep,
3rd and 1
played it
just
perfectly.
stonewalls him.
The exact thing we drooled Eric drooled over Eric Wilson for against the Colts when Anthony Richardson ran it. Evan Williams did the same exact thing. He let Lucas Van Ness and the rest of the edge rushers collapse down the running back, and he played his spot perfectly and goes and tackles Kyler Murray on the run pass option. Just perfect, perfect execution on that.
Yeah, the Packers are a better team with when Evan Williams plays.
Yeah,
It
like I'll eat
this
crow. I thought the people clamoring for Evan Williams in the beginning of the season were a bit too Micah Abernathy pilled, is how I'll say that. Like I think I thought they had a similar uh like justification for trying to get to get him to play over like Javon Bullard or um Xavier McKinney or Keyshawn Nixon at that point. But I mean, golly, I think the defense is the secondary is at its best when the secondary looks like Jair, Stokes, Bullard in the slot, and then Williams and McKinney deep.
or really it's McKinney deep and Williams can be either kind of like a spy box safety
Micah
or he
Hyde, yeah,
plays yeah, like that is again, they're kind of establishing these roles within this defense, especially with a lot of young secondary parts. So with Evan Williams emerging and really establishing himself as, hey, whether this guy is injured or not, I need to be on the field if you want to win and succeed. Evan Williams is making his case known of he's an integral part of this defense that is very disruptive. And I think to me today was nice in that like overall kind of broad sweeping ways of looking at this defense. Xavier Kinney's streak unfortunately comes to an end. They got no sacks on
Uh,
Kyler Murray.
on that, before we move on,
Yes.
uh, Wes Hod, the West
Wait,
Hodkowitz. So what?
I think I know what you're gonna say.
This is
Is it
the McKinney
his
set.
streak ended, but the Packers? So wait.
Okay, all right.
So X's streak ends.
No
Packers don't get
sacks.
a sack.
Yep.
No sacks. Still, the pressure on Kyler Murray was, I thought, like eye test, pretty good.
Yeah.
Rashawn Gary for a lot of hand wringing, not just hand wringing at this point, but a lot of just like confusion of like he's
Where what
not
happened?
this. Yeah, what happened? He's not this impact, premier edge rusher that you paid him to be.
Yep.
I thought he actually popped out today, and I thought he did a lot of he. There were some points where he kind of looked labored, and maybe that was just when drives got a little longer than they should have. But I think he looked a breakout might come soon for him. That just might be me, crossing my fingers a little bit, but he just looked more a little bit in factory into it rather than other guys kind of getting after Murray and forcing him into bad throws. But the fumbles and just the way that they're making these turnovers just happen. It's not we're not in oh, it's luck anymore. Like in terms of this season, these guys are just like Evan Williams just punching the ball out. Super like that just doesn't
It
it's
it was a
you
punch.
yeah, it was a punch. It was like Mike Tyson punch out level of just like this haymaker. And you can't script it, you can't predict it or anything like that. But like there is just this kind of I don't know how to the degree and rate that they are producing turnovers with this team. It is truly, and I'll set you up for the tweet that you're going to mention. It might be the most I've seen as a Packers fan, and they've had years where it felt like turnovers were coming down from the skies some days.
But then on the flip side, there's been years where you
Yeah,
just couldn't buy a turnover for the Packers, like last year in particular too,
last year in particular.
and there was just no turnovers to be had kind of thing. Um, but yeah, to talk about that stat from this is again from Wes Hawkowitz, the Packers beat writer, for like literally for the Packers. Xavier McKinney's interception streak comes to an end, but one endured. This year's Packers defense is the first defense to post multiple takeaways in each of its first six games since the 1996 squad that won Super Bowl 31. This is from X. Quote, we got so many turnovers, everybody's itching to get one. Three forced fumbles today. Sorry, end quote before that. Three forced fumbles today. And two, like, forced. One was sort of a Kyler Murray, Trey
Yeah,
Benson,
the
Poopa.
transfer.
Yeah, there's a bad play. But I mean, I think though to your point, it's just the defense putting pressure on guys to make sure they're securing the ball and being safe with it. Because I mean, if Evan Williams is going to do that, look out. That's a you got a ball hawk in Xavier McKinney and a absolute bully next to him punching balls out. Like that's a
That's
dynamic safety. Good dude. Someone tweeted today. It was like, "Do you know how awesome it is to go from having the worst safeties in the league to the best?"
insane. It is like Baltimore Ravens level safeties. Like that is where I'm not trying to hype up this defense or anything like that, but yeah, it just changes the conversation of what is possible. And
Totally, totally,
I feel like that is, you know, things are still not perfect. I think overall this is you could make the argument that this might be the defense's best day performance of the year, which is saying something. But I felt like on the whole, it wasn't just Xavier McKinney's historic streak kind of propelling the Packers in generating as many turnovers as it has. It felt like everybody was kind of just in the mix or doing right plays,
Hmm.
not getting burned in the way of if you're playing the game of trying to limit what teams do best. I mean, part of that was, helped, not helped, but it was necessitated by you losing Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner during
Early,
the
yeah.
game. But yeah, Kyler Murray, for as much as I thought he could really be a problem, he had a fine day, but it was not, 13 points and a big loss on your head is not, is certainly not what I was expecting going into this game.
No, absolutely not. And I want to give credit to the defense because, and in particular, I want to give credit to Xavier McKinney. We talked um, previously on the preview pod about how um, Kyler Murray, to pull up my stats here, coming into the game, Kyler Murray amongst qualified quarterbacks was fifth in the NFL at average depth of target at 8.9 yards. Today, as I pull up his chart from Next Gen Stats, if I can find it here quickly, he had one completion. I'm sorry, one target past 20 yards. His longest target through the air was 19 yards, and um, I think that is a huge credit to just how
Yeah.
much of a force Xavier McKinney is, right? Like we talked
Yeah.
about how much Kyler Murray was throwing down the field this entire season thus far because he just was. They were throwing the ball down the field and getting big plays, and that wasn't this game. Like
But
they they were afraid to throw down the field, which again might be credited
that's,
some part um into losing Marvin Harrison Jr. But I mean, regardless, that's a pretty good stat to have. You're like they're not having anybody go on the field and catch the ball. Like Trey McBride had a really good day. He has
mm-hmm.
8 catches for 96 yards. Like just a great day for him. We talked about him in the pregame or the preview pod as well. Like he's a difference maker when it comes to the tight end position for this team. And
Yeah.
he's able to go and catch the ball deep. He doesn't get a target, or he might have been one of like the one target past 20 yards. But then like Greg Dortch and Michael Wilson aren't slumps either when it
No,
comes to getting the ball down the field. Like they're absolutely are able to do it, and so it just is awesome. IMO. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up quick. Kyler Murray coming into this week had 20 throws, uh, attempting, sorry, 20 attempted deep throws, so 20 yards plus across
yeah,
5 games. He's averaging 4 a game, and he ends up with one this week. So
that's not nothing.
3 touchdowns, tied for the most among these passers. One interception on throws 20 plus yards down the field. So I think that's a credit to Xavier McKinney and that and how much of a force he was. That if you look at the depth chart from the Cardinals today, it's a whole lot of dots between 5 and 11 yards. Like
Yep.
it's that they threw over the middle of the field, which was what we kind of had talked about that they're going to be able to do that if they're not going to throw it deep. And for all intents and purposes, did a great job in fighting that today.
Yeah. I would agree. I think it just, all the, again, the anxiety that I had towards what this offense could do to the Packers defense, even with upgrades and clear areas. Um, it was very just reassuring to see the defense just come together in a way that limited big plays. They got burned a couple times. I mean, obviously, who got the touchdown that I'm
Michael Wilson.
forgetting? Yeah, Michael Wilson. That play was very. I don't think there was much in execution. I think it was just not the right play to kind of go soft, and kind of Murray beat the zone pretty easily.
Right.
Um, but outside of that, you know, touchdown, they were doing the thing too that I thought was key going into the game was Cardinals could march down the field all they want. Once they got in the red zone, the Packers did really good taking away like routes, taking away areas and short fields.
Hmm.
The other help was obviously the Cardinals just, you know, offensive holding, false starts,
Yeah,
things
they had
that
a
just,
lot of illegal formations, a lot of holdings today. Like I think Kyler Murray probably had 30, 40 yards taken away from his rushing game on holds alone.
mhm, yeah. Cardinals, I don't think we said it earlier. Cardinals had 13 penalties for 100 penalty yards.
Yeah, it wasn't ideal for them whatsoever. It was a
No,
really sloppy day for them.
super sloppy. Jonathan Gannon, you got to clean it up, pal. And I don't care if you clean it up coming out of a taxi, the bus, or whatever.
Well,
But yeah,
I don't even want to like blame him for it too either because like they had multiple illegal formation penalties when that like one
yeah,
like the first one it's a coaching issue. The second, third, and
is
fourth one is a player issue. Like if you know that they've been telling you, hey, you cannot line up that far back of your center, and you continue to do it, that's just a player mistake. You have to be able to
yeah.
line up properly. That's not a coaching thing at that point. That's just a player mistake.
It's just so funny how like when it would be like um the referee would call like illegal formation, like the player wasn't set up properly on the field. Like just like
Right.
hearing a referee just like objectively say that just obviously makes you laugh
It's
because
very
it's
funny.
not your team doing it. But yeah, it just on mistake or so many mistakes that helped the Packers defense in that regard too. But it shouldn't take away just from the solid performance that everybody put in that contributed to a very clean game. IMO.
Right. Um, let's talk about the front, defensive front. I think I said I thought they played pretty darn well today. No sacks, but we talked about in the preview pod as well that this game plan was probably going to be a lot
Yep.
more contain Kyler Murray than get after the quarterback, and that's exactly what we saw. There was a play I want to say late in the second quarter, something like that, but they highlighted Carl Brooks and he was rushing off the edge and he goes and he finds his depth on his pass rush, right? And then he like stopped like engaging with his tackle and just waited for Kyler Murray to try and bounce it out. And he was basically spying Kyler Murray from 4 yards deep in the backfield. And I
Yeah.
like it was a perfect example of just what the game plan Jeff Halfley drew up this week and how it worked. Because he could have kept rushing and tried to get home, but that would have allowed Kyler Murray to step up and run it. But he
Yep.
holds his spot and just watches Kyler Murray for what him to do. Kyler Murray eventually tries to run it out or like bounce it out outside. Carl Brooks is there. I believe it was a throwaway, or he ended up like chasing him enough. It was like a 1 yard gain or something. Regardless of what
Yeah.
it was a really good play by Carl Brooks. Carl Brooks also forces the fumble on James Conner late in the third, on a great punch out there as well. Like we talked about it way back in the early part of the offseason, Jordan, if you remember this. But CBS Sports had the
Oh God.
redrafting the first round, and Carl Brooks was like 32nd or 20th or something like that to the Seahawks. Another example of maybe that wasn't so crazy because he's a sophomore now and he's playing pretty darn well. Like
He is.
Kenny Clark blew up a couple of runs today, and he recovered the
We weren't seeing that earlier.
No, we weren't. Kenny Clark recovered the fumble that Kyler Murray and Trey Benson messed up, but
Hmm.
he was there today. Like you said about Rashawn Gary, breakout came maybe coming soon. There was a couple. I think he was like pressuring a little bit better. I just I wonder what's going on. I'm not gonna get into it like now because he had a good weekend. And he had a couple of pass rushes where he broke contained and he got too far inside and Kyler Murray stepped up and did his thing, which like you can't do that. You gotta be more disciplined and I can understand the assignment kind of thing, which maybe his assignment was to try and get home. But regardless, there's things there that just look a little off. And I'm hoping
Yeah.
I think like he looked better this week. He looked a little more like engaged per se, but a good week from him. Preston Smith had a couple of good plays as well. I didn't really
Hmm.
see too much from Lucas Van Ness. He was involved a little bit, but like not too much in the backfield or making plays or anything.
He had like a weird holding penalty. I
It
want to
was
say that was
hands to the face, I think.
miscredited. Hands of it.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
but
Enigbari was kind of. I mean, not everybody needs to like have.
no,
Just when you're watching the game, you think of these plays as literally moments.
yep,
So when you're just trying to go back and kind of rattle them off, but yeah, like by and large, everyone just had one play that like stood out for either good reasons, largely, or bad reasons or whatever.
hmm
But it just felt like more than not, outside of a few people, you could say a good thing happened for them,
right,
even if it didn't, outside of tackles and fumble recoveries or fumbles forced. There's no like big standout plays like sacks or interceptions that obviously did not happen today.
right, right, exactly. But yeah, I think everyone played pretty well. There was one long run by, I believe. Let me double check the the box score here. Who had the long rush today? Yeah, Trey Benson had a rush of 20 yards. Uh, Quay Walker gets lost. He plugs a hole that's already
Oh
filled.
yeah.
Like I'm just, I need him to be better. Edgerrin Cooper had a few plays today, but I mean the rookies are coming out, dude. Edgerrin Cooper starts alongside Quay Walker. Evan Williams starts alongside McKinney, and uh, Javon Bullard starts in the slot. So they're Goody might have did it again, Jordan, with this draft class. He just might have. Oh,
This might
oh,
have
oh, oh. Jordan Morgan played today.
he did play. That
Him,
was a pleasant surprise.
yep, him and Sean Ryan were platooning right guard for most of the game until Josh Myers got hurt and subsequently came back. Um, when Josh Myers went out, really interesting configuration on the line. Josh Myers leaves, and then the ensuing line concoction or makeup was Rasheed Walker at left tackle, Sean Ryan at left guard, Elton Jenkins at center, Jordan Morgan at right guard, Zach Tom at right tackle.
Yes.
And so like that was an interesting move around. I guess it makes sense that you're not gonna, with the way Zach Tom's been playing, you're not gonna play him at center because like he has obviously had experience playing center at Vanderbilt, right? Vandy, yeah. Um, and then I think like I don't think you're putting Sean Ryan there. EJ playing there just I think makes the most sense, and I think is what they've done in the past. But regardless of it all, an interesting makeup to keep an eye on. I'm not sure how they'll do that going forward, unless if they decide to if they don't decide to keep Josh Myers. But it's interesting. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
because obviously EJ, all Pro Bowl left guard.
Yeah.
Zach Tom's on his way to being an All Pro Bowl right tackle.
Should be
Rashid's having a
maybe
sophomore
soon.
slump for sure. That's tough.
I actually thought that was the other thing. I thought he did. I mean, we
He
talked
gets
about the
beat too often, which results in holds. Like that hold he had
yes.
today was the most blatant hold I've ever
Yeah.
seen. Like,
Earl Dotson, like
yeah,
that
it
that
it wasn't ideal, but I don't know. It's fine. I just need him to like clean it up a little bit, and I'm not really sure
yeah.
how they do that, but um, here's to hoping, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Um, Anything else you want to touch on? Oh, we didn't. We have to. Braden Narvison.
Yes.
I'm gonna spoil it, not spoil it, but give you all a look in. He was on his way to a cheese today. He was well on his
Mm.
way. He had uh made two field goals. I think he made two total. It doesn't tell me which ones at the moment, but um he was 1 for 1. He made 4 extra points. Finishes 2 of 3. He now has 6 missed field goals on the year, most of the NFL. I think if he made that field goal, I was going to give him a cheese because they were all 40 plus. I'm almost certain. Let me double check the.
This is why I'm gonna say our famous catchphrase: "Don't count your cheeses before they hatch."
That's right.
You know.
Uh
Um,
yeah,
he probably
he
would have been
missed
in that mix if
44 wide right.
yeah, 44 wide right.
Makes 41. I think the other one might have been
Isn't that his?
36. Yeah, it
Not to be
was.
a downer, but is that's his jersey number, right?
It
44
is.
wide right.
It is. Also,
Not a
I
good moniker
forget
to have.
I forget which Packers beat writer tweeted the picture out. Somebody had a Braden Narvison jersey, like 44 Narvison. They had the jersey.
I mean, I
That's
mean
what
they make jerseys for everybody.
they don't sell jerseys
Anders
to
Carlson,
everybody.
Anders Carlson had a fair amount of
Anders
heat.
Carlson was a draft pick. Braden
Yeah, but if
Narvison
you're
was
a
not.
he's a prominent position player.
No, he's not.
He is.
No, he's not.
He is. A kicker is.
I'm
A
gonna
kicker
I'm gonna
is.
go to NFL.com right now and
What do you
see
mean?
and NFLshop.com. Shout out the ad for a multi-billion dollar company.
Fanatics exists, so it would have to be
It's
customized
a
at the very
fanatics
least.
experience, right? But that's the thing, Jordan, is that um, you never had to buy, you never had to fanaticize a Mason Crosby jersey.
No,
I searched Braden Narvison, and I don't even get jerseys.
no.
I get shot glasses, I get custom magnets. I it the top three is Packers fan for life deluxe personalized flag. You can put your name on it. A slim can holder.
What are you
A personalized
shopping at a
football
Dollar
mat.
Tree? What's going to happen?
What?
Is this a Dollar Tree? What are
No,
we
I'm
doing?
telling you what comes up when you search Braden Narvison on the NFL shop. The next three are three Titans things. You never had to do this with Mason Crosby. You didn't have to do this with Anders Carlson. He had to customize a Braden Narvison jersey. Jordan, do you know the level of mental illness you have to buy and customize a Braden Narvison Packers jersey?
Nothing surprises me. Packers Pro Shop, if we're being honest, and Packers Pro Shop has a lot of options. So I think we have to bypass the NFL shop for this. Braden Narvison, his jersey is on back order. The expected availability is October
No,
24th,
it's not.
2024. Yes, it is. I'm looking at it right now.
That's
I think
crazy.
that's
That's
I think
crazy.
that's I think that's more of a Nike thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I do see that now. That's insane.
but yeah, so
Or
you
you know
can
what it is?
probably
They haven't made them yet.
I think that's more. I mean, he joined the team what end of August, so
Yeah.
6 weeks to get the ship it out, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Plus, if I'm memory serves, if you just go to the Packers Pro Shop
You
directly,
can do it, right?
you can you can do the customized
Yeah.
one. But that
Regardless,
still involves someone dropping 135
on
bones
a Brandon Harbison jersey.
on a Braden Narvison jersey. You know how long it took me to be like, "Uh, Jordan Love? Can we? It took me a season
Yeah.
to be like, Jordan Love, I'm going to do it. We're
Yeah.
pulling the trigger.
Yeah. I get that.
But to my larger point, you're guaranteed to see Braden Narvison on the field at least 3 or 4 times in terms of scoring position
Yeah.
or scoring plays, not just kickoffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, like nothing surprises me anymore. It would
No.
be more surprising if I saw Matt Orzech, whatever
Yeah.
how you pronounce his last
Orzek,
name.
yeah.
You know,
That'd be pretty funny.
it would be very funny.
But yeah, Braden Narvison, 2 of 3, misses the field goal today. He has a chance to
This
earn
is a
cheese
cheese.
and does not. So,
And
all right. Anything else, Troy? We should wrap up here.
one stat I want to share.
Okay.
Aaron Nagler, who's always usually on these good stats. Uh, that was just very like Daryl Johnston of me. Um, Matt LaFleur is the today's win marked the 60th regular season win of Matt LaFleur's career, becomes the second fastest active head coach to reach 60 wins behind only Mike Tomlin. He's the second fastest to 60 wins in Green Bay Packer history, behind only Vince Lombardi. Matt LaFleur is a
Yep.
very good coach.
Is that the same tweet that talked about the second active coach behind Mike Tomlin? I blacked out for a second. My apologies.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Sorry. I'm sure you mentioned it, but I wanted to make sure you did, and I blacked out while you said that, so my apologies.
But yeah, Matt LaFleur is just on a crazy tear of success,
Yeah, he's really
and
good.
I'm gonna call it now.
Hot take?
I think he's number one if things continue for the Packers for Coach of the Year.
What do you mean?
Coach of the Year.
Oh, I thought you were saying. I thought you were saying Packers franchise history. I was like, brother, he has a ways to go.
No, I will. No, yeah, no, no one's beating
Right,
Philly.
but I understand that. But the way you
Yeah,
laid it out with like the Lombardi thing and everything else. I mean, yeah. Um, honestly, I would agree, but I think it's going to be hard if the Vikings keep their pace to beat out Kevin O'Connell.
it's true. Yeah,
Like I think
yeah.
I think Kevin O'Connell's got that award by the neck right now, and they'd have to fall off pretty hard for him not to win that award, given the expectations that you, me, and the rest of the NFL had for that team this year, and then losing JJ McCarthy, who they were probably going to start. Like to be 5-0 is pretty impressive for that team right now.
It is, and that's the other thing too is that the NFC North has all teams that are above 500 or more.
First team or first division to have, I believe it's 19 wins is the total right now.
Yeah,
4-4 and 5.
five.
Um, first division to have that since the realignment in 2002. NFC
Yeah,
North is brutal this year. There's a stark reality where the first overall seed is an NFC North team, and the other three wildcard teams are NFC North teams. There's a stark reality where the divisional round of the NFC playoffs is the four NFC North teams,
yeah.
which is crazy, absolutely crazy.
It makes these games you have
Matter
to
a lot
savor
more.
them when they happen. Yeah,
Yeah.
they not to bang this drum, but
Uh
you can't afford slip ups
nope. Nope.
because even with the Lions losing Aiden Hutchinson for the
Yeah.
rest of the year
For
off a devastating injury,
yeah, not a great injury.
that team is still gonna want to keep momentum on their side.
Right.
So
And plus
yeah,
like
this division is nails.
yeah. Like plus like the Eagles won today, they're 3-2. We don't have the win over them. Cowboys are falling off. That is
Let's not come on.
what?
They beat the Browns 2016, and their head coach is yelling at Eagles fans that want to have him fired.
It doesn't matter. They're still 3-2.
Mm,
How they get to their amount of wins doesn't matter. They're still above 500, one win less than the Packers just because they had their bye last week. Um, obviously the Bears 4-2, Buccaneers are 4-2 as well, and Lions 4-1, and then the three other division winners right now are the Falcons at 4-2, the Commanders at 4-2, and the Niners at 3-3. So the the wild card spot is going to be spicy because the 11th through uh fourth seed are separated by one game, which is crazy. The Seahawks are 3-3, as are the Niners, but obviously the Niners just beat the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football, and so it's tight right now in the NFC. AFC on the other hand, not so tight. That division is or that
no.
conference is doo doo. So, all right, that was your little trip around the league. We should wrap up this podcast, shouldn't we, Jordan?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, folks. Appreciate y'all listening. Victory Monday. Hope everyone's coffee or tea or water tastes just a little bit better this morning as they enjoy a
Water.
Packers win over the Arizona Cardinals. I almost said it again. I almost said St. Louis Cardinals again. That's actually crazy. Um, go check out gspn.substack.com for all things premium Substack from GSPN. A lot of articles being written, including if you're listening to this pod still, under this pod is a little wrap up from Jordan. You can go check that out. $8 a month, ad free podcasts for all of the GSPN podcasts, plus the premium episodes, GSPN After Dark that are released weekly. Bucks tip off on October 23rd against the Sixers. So Ty and Rohan on Eurostep are kicking off their their season and getting into the thick of it that way. Winning 6 with Jordan Adam making a comeback very soon. Cruising for a bruising, going to be on hiatus for a little bit until there's some news regarding anything Brewers from Adam and Andrew. And then, like I had mentioned on the preview pod, Adam, Andrew, and I will be having a make time for this later in the month on some scary movie stuff. So go check those out as well and stay in the loop. Appreciate y'all listening. And Jordan, thank you.
Thank you.